Okay, welcome back everyone. A slightly different format, but we're back with Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide. We've got a great guest lined up, but it's good just to catch up with everyone, see everyone's faces. You don't often see Chris Clark in our videos. He's normally behind the screen.
Nobody wants to see my face, Tom.
But he's an integral part of putting this podcast together. So we're grateful for him to be with us again. We thought we'd just start off before we introduce Opio, just a bit of a catch up with everyone, and maybe just talk a little bit about. Obviously, there's been quite significant changes since the last time we were on the podcast.
What's happened, Tom? What's happened? I can't think.
Obviously, potential personal circumstances, but also within bodybuilding, there's been a lot of changes that have come about. Show dates changed and things. So we thought we'd just do a brief review. As far as we know about the show schedules and things, because I know that there are people, still prepping and having that focus. So and also before we start as well, a big thanks as always to our long time supporters, Unrivalled Nutrition. They're giving a lot of support to us and natural bodybuilding in general. So you should see their logo somewhere superimposed here. We'll put a link to their page as well. So check out their products. So, Chris, do you want to? You're potentially still in the dieting phase, prepping. So, tell us about your, because I think we'll just discuss sort of NPA, BNBF, and UK DFBA show dates. What have you got your eyes on?
Well, as you know, Tom, I was flying under the radar when it came to prep in the beginning, because not for any other reason than just to see how things went first, and not just be the guy that just turns up at his local show claiming that he wasn't going to be prepping and not competing and stuff like that. I just took the pressure off myself. Because you know when you start telling people you're prepping, then they automatically expect you to be at a certain level at a certain time and all this, that, and the other. But my show this year was going to be the Northern Irish on the 7th of June, and obviously that was because I've got family in Belfast, and I thought it would be great if that side of my family could actually see me compete. And see what I do as a hobby, and when that's fallen through. But I discussed it with Rob Waterhouse, as you know, he's my coach and friend, and also a fellow podcaster over on with AA Ron.
And enjoying those.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? I like the format. I'm still waiting for my invite to go on, and I can't believe they've made us wait this long, to be fair. Well, we know that there's something coming, something special. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I discussed it with Rob, and rather than jack it in, and say all is lost, just decided that we had to just keep going, and keep that structure, and that's really helped me. Not from a prep point of view, but from just from keeping the head from falling off. Whilst everything's all up in the air and we don't know what's going on with the shows, it just gives me that extra bit of focus just to keep going and distract from everything else that's taking place. I mean, obviously I'm still working, as you are. Nothing can change for us. We've still got to go out to work and deal with people. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I like seeing the progress. So come what may, towards the end of the year, at least I'll be ready, or should be. Fingers crossed.
Good stuff. And so yeah, we just briefly. Obviously, you know, we don't know what the sort of future holds in how things play out. But as it stands, as of today, the BNBF are putting on a sort of an open finals, which is going to be on. I've just got a screen up it, so it's going to be the September 27th, and that's at the M&S Bank Arena, formerly Echo Arena in Liverpool. That's also got the DFAC Grand Prix still running as well, I believe. Also, as it stands, the DFAC Worlds in Grand Cayman on October the 24th is still on the cards. I think, you know, they're staying very positive, and hopefully, you know, we'll get a better idea of how things play out in the coming weeks and months. Also, the NPA, I believe, recently just put out a post, because they're actually a little bit earlier for their first show date, which is the NPA Yorkshire on the 1st of August. That's, as it stands, still going ahead. Obviously, that might end up changing, because that's not long to go. They've also, I believe, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think their other show dates are also scheduled to go ahead as it stands, which is the NPA Midlands on the 23rd of August, the NPA Mike Williams Classic on September the 13th, and the NPA Britain Finals on October the 3rd. And then finally, UK DFBA, they have also gone sort of the route of you know, similar scenarios BNBF, and they're putting on an open finals, which is going to be scheduled for the 17th and 18th of October.
Oh yeah, they still have they're having a novice.
Yes. So they've also, haven't they, got the UK Novice Championships, which is scheduled for the 20th of September, I believe. And again, as far as I'm aware, the WNBF Worlds are still scheduled to take place on November the 21st and 22nd. We're actually planning next week, or in the very near future, to have Vicky McCann back on the podcast to direct. You know, a lot of people have got questions about how the shows might play out. You know, various things about the setup of the shows and how things are going to work. Obviously, it's all a bit fluid at the moment, isn't it? Because there's a lot of uncertainties, but hopefully Vicky will be able to answer some of your questions. So we'll give you more details on that. I think with regards to the UK DFBA, I think AJ Morris has already put out quite a few podcasts with Q&As with respect to that. So if you know, check out those to sort of, you know, if you've got any queries, and they might answer your questions. But all of those sort of organisations have got the Facebook and Instagram pages that you can have a look at and stay up to date with.
Nice one.
So should we get into chatting to Opio?
Yeah, why not?
Well, we've got Opio, we've been talking about doing this for quite a while. Opio is someone who I've had the pleasure / misfortune of competing with, but he's you know, most people will know he was the 2018 BNBF British middleweight champion. He then went on the same year to the DFAC Worlds and took the overall there to gain his pro card. He's also a coach, I believe, both online and PT. So yeah, we've had a few. We're not doing this live, but we've had a few questions sent in, which we'll get to at the end. But yeah, welcome Opio. How are you doing? I know your work will have changed quite significantly during this this pandemic. So yeah, first and foremost, how are you doing?
No, thank you very much, guys, for having me on. It's good to see you boys back in action. And I've been busy, a lot busier than what I expected. So which is quite good because my business is coming up to a year on the 28th of March. So for me to get the books in and to apply for grants, etc., would not be ideal coming up to my first year. But fortunately, I've had really good loyal clients, and in fact, within the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks, there's just been a surge of new clients. I think I picked up 6 online, just solely because people just want a bit of guidance with the routine. I mean, as much as they can see a lot of banded videos online and everyone's story, they just want a bit of guidance with just a bit of nutrition and a bit of a training structure as well. So from my side of things, I've only lost 2 hours of work a week since all this, and gained that back online. So to me, I'm still very busy. I'm still having to make time for the girls. I'm still having to make time for family. I'm still having to make time for myself as well. So fortunately, it has not gone completely backwards. Like some of my friends who I know who are personal trainers and online coaches as well. So yeah, I'm still pretty much quite busy, which is good.
That's good to hear that. It's always a worry, and as well, it has been a worry for a lot of people, and you see a lot of people stressing out at the minute because they don't qualify for. I don't. It goes over my head a lot, but they're not qualifying for certain grants from the government for one reason or another, and can't apply for certain things until a certain time in the year. And I mean, again, that's where I'm pretty fortunate because I don't have to worry about that. So that's why it completely sails over my head. But no, it's good to hear because we know you've got a family to support. And
no, it's good. Definitely.
No, nice one.
So, Chris, do you want to kick us off with the first question to Opio? Yeah,
well, first of all, shout out Team Baseball Cap, all 4 of us. It's almost like we discussed it, even though we didn't.
That's right, yeah.
But so Opio, I mean, going back to when you took your pro card in 2018. I mean, I was there obviously, but I was also competing, so I didn't get to see a lot of what went on live. But from all accounts, especially from Aaron Bevan, who takes a massive keen interest in bodybuilding as a whole, not just natural but across the board. He talks about it quite a lot, where you've stepped out at qualifier after qualifier, not quite hitting the mark, be thereabouts, but then you stepped out on the British finals stage, and he was like, "What the fuck? Who is this? Who is this guy?" So, I mean, and I was looking back through your Instagram because I wanted to see some previous years, because I mean, I've been 2012 on and off, but just don't ever remember the previous years, and that's not because of you, that's just because I've got a shit memory, and I wanted to see where you were at. And then looking at some of the photographs, you're like night and day different. So what changed for you sort of between the last time you competed in 2018 and even between the qualifier and the final?
So clearly a big difference in my physique and how I looked as well. So going back to the years, it's fine if you don't remember me because I was never on the radar when I first did it in 2015 for a charity show. I competed against, or I should say with James, first time novice in Manchester in 2015. So I originally done it as a charity show. So what I meant by that was when I was doing a state agency, we were supporting a charity group called Alexander Divide, and everyone individually had to raise money. So everyone was coming up with these ideas on how they're going to raise the money. So I just thought, actually, I want to lose weight, but how can I lose weight to really commit? So I said, actually, what I'll do is I'll do a bodybuilding show. So one, that gives me a timeline and a time frame. And then secondly, as well, people are actually physically paying money into the Virgin account. So I can't not do the show because it'd be theft. All right. So anyways, it was 10 weeks I did that. I was 107 kilos, got down to like 84 kilos, sorry, 82-ish kilos in like 9 weeks. It was horrible. So I had my friend who was helping me prep through them. And again, stepped on stage, never really had the conditioning because I've never done bodybuilding before, and I've never seen a bodybuilding show. So when I got there, I then instantly knew, like, wow, like, there's no way I'm ready. I'm looking at these guys. And again, James was the one who stood out to me, and there was a few guys, Rebecca, who don't compete anymore. But that was literally my first season and my first tester. And anyways, I was so happy to have done the show. I didn't place. It was a big class. I didn't place in the novice category. But I was kind of happy to get my life back and just eat food again. But the following day, your brother James messaged me on Facebook, and he said to me, "Whoa!" His first opening word was like, "Wow, I can't believe how much weight that you've lost in 9 to 10 weeks to do the show." And he said he was one of the first ones who said, "You've got if you stick to bodybuilding, you've got a bright future ahead of you." I've actually posted that after the 2018 British finals, just to show, like, you know, James and I, we've been battling over the years, and it's been, sort of definitely respectable between us. And in fact, James is actually one of the guys who pushed me, because every time I competed against him, he would whip my butt, and like literally, I would just be like, I just want to, you know. But it was all done on a respectable level. And again, he's a very secretly competitive person, which makes him very dangerous competitor, which is good. So going back, so he was one of the first people to say, you know, got a really strong bodybuilding career ahead of you. And then 2016, I came back better, had the same coach, and then I thought, you know what, let me just strip everything back to food, understand food, what's a calorie, proteins, blah, 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 blah. And then I self-prepped from 2017, and that's when that was the first one at the Birmingham Body Power, the first BNBF at Body Power, which I did. Came first in the heavyweight, still wasn't in condition. James won his in the middleweight, took the overall as well, so that was another 2 ticks for James. And then the British finals that year, I came in tighter than I was ever. Even the judges were like, "You're a lot tighter," but it was 17 in the class, and I underestimated the quality of a British finals, and that was the first British finals I've ever done. And when I stood there, I said, "There's no way. How are these guys getting this lean? Like, what the hell? That is a different kind of like hard fullness, dry look." And, bearing in mind, I'm doing cardio twice a day, 45 minutes Stairmaster, this, that, the other, thinking our cardio is the way. Yeah. And then I came sixth. It was from coming first and I qualified, and I came sixth in 2017. It was quite disheartening. And then obviously in 2018, I said, right, you know what? I'm not having that. That felt so awful. We were expecting a baby as well, April 2018. So at the end of 2017, I said, you know what, I'm not going to compete, spend time with the other half, and obviously help out with the baby as well. Bearing in mind, I was still doing the state agency, working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And it literally just occurred to me on February the 7th, 2018, just before the baby was born, I said, I'm going to do a show, because I know I can, there was something just missing. And I worked so hard on my structure and stuff over the off season. So I would like to, I've always said to people, just don't just go into the gym just to put size on, because anyone can just put size on. And when you go on stage, you have people who look really good, and you've got people who just look lean but not balanced and all that stuff. Anyway, so did the so prep myself until the Bayesian Circuit to the Southerns with James. Yes, we were in the same class. Yes, he won again. But it was better, I was getting better. And I've never hung around for feedback after the show. And I said, you know what, I need to. I've sacrificed so much. The baby's now here. I'm working so long. I'm helping out with the missus. It's just, I can't do this by myself. So I just hung around for feedback. And then Vic was, as soon as it's like she was expecting me to hang back. And she just smiled at me. And I just said, look, Vic, I'm killing myself. Yeah, like, I don't know what's going on. How are these guys looking like that? I'm pretty sure I'm working harder than everyone, and it's just not working out. And she just said, okay, what's your calories? I told her my calories, and she said, what's your macros? And she just went, ooh, why don't you just swap that for this? More carbs and fats, and then reduce the protein slightly, and just she said, let's keep the calories in, just do that, see how you got on. Literally 3 days afterwards, when I finished work, train, came home, I was just getting in the shower, and I just kind of looked in the mirror, and I so looked back again. I was like, what? So I'm there, like, what is actually going on? And then a day later, Vic messaged me on IG, and she was like, how are you getting on? I goes, to be honest, I've never seen anything like it, physique-wise, obviously. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's so much harder, so much fuller, so much, it just looks right. It wasn't looking sort of soft and roundy. Then I sent her some pictures, and I think from then she knew that, right, okay, he can be a serious threat. So so that's pretty much it. So Vic, bit of a long answer. Vic pretty much just told me how to swap my nutrition around. I pretty much did it for 9 weeks, 10 weeks, and then 3 weeks out at the British finals. She just said how you're feeling, but by then when I changed my macros, I didn't need to do that much cardio. And if you guys was following my Instagram, I was literally 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning on the Stairmaster, literally just dying. And I'm still doing that with the diet change, because the diet was so effective. I did not need to do that level of cardio. And then 3 weeks out, she sent me the photos, and when your mind's modeled and you're working 60 hours and you got a newborn and missus is off work, you have to pay for the mortgage and everything, so it's down to you to make sure that you've got everything done. And at the time I was studying as well, so I pretty much had no time. I felt awful. I was averaging 4.5 hours sleep a night. So when I leave in the morning, the girls will be in bed. I finish work 6:30, 7 o'clock. They'll just be going to bed. Obviously I had to train, so when I get home it's 10 o'clock at night. Miss is just looking drawn from a new baby, she's been crying. Then I'll have to cook her food, so then she eats, make sure when they go to bed, then I prep my food for the day, for the following day. And I was going to bed 12:30, 1 o'clock every evening, and then alarm 3:30 in the morning, and then go again, to the point where it was a bit. There wasn't enough time in a day for me, because my hours are so long, 10 hours a day. So it's like, what do you do? Do you not do it, or do you just wake up earlier and just get it done? And that was my mentality. You just wake up earlier, don't make an excuse, and make more time for yourself. So anyways, 3 weeks out, she said, okay, so how are you looking? So I sent her some photos, but I didn't think I look lean at all. I just think I look horrible. I just prep brain, etc. And she said to me, she just replied straight and said, if you want, I can help you out if you want. And I said, well, no, of course, yeah, help me. Like, I'm dying. I'm sick of just trying to do everything myself and not looking at anything. And she sent me over just food leading up 3 weeks into the British finals, which pretty much nearly doubled my food. Took out all the cardio, and then done her. She said, okay, how do you normally do my peak weeks? I send her my strategy. Then she's completely said, okay, well, do mine if you want me to. I can help you with your strategy. I said, of course, I'm all ears. Obviously, you've helped me this far with just telling me what to do, and I've done it in 3 days. Instantly, I saw the difference. And yeah, we done the peak week. At that time, I wasn't posting anything on Instagram because I knew I was getting conditioned. I didn't want to create all the hype or everything. I was just kind of focusing on me. So it wasn't to be like, oh yeah, just the underdog, he's coming out of nowhere, and this, that, the other. One, I was too tired to get into all this Instagram hype. And then secondly as well, I just really wanted to focus and enjoy the transition, if that makes sense. And yeah, come to the British, done the peak week, traveling to Liverpool with the baby in the car, took us 8 hours because of the roadblocks. And I think there was a parade.
Yeah.
We've had a tired 6-month-old in the car, and it was just horrible to the point where I had to then park about a 15-minute walk. So the missus had to just get to the hotel and walk with the baby while I had to leave my car somewhere, run to registration in time, and then run back to the hotel. So it was off. Everything leading up to the show. The odds were so high against me, but again, I just wanted to do it because I love doing the sport, and obviously my body has not ever looked like this before. So coming to registration, Vic said, "Oh, how you feeling? How you looking?" I was just like, face is all drawn, looking like Chris is at the moment, and I just you know what? I'm just, yeah, I'm good. I think I'm just really tired. I just had a long journey, so she just said, "Look, just hang on whilst the the registration." So she said, "Okay, cool. Let's have a look at you." Went into the room. So she's had a look. At that time, I was still getting to know Vic. We weren't really as close. So she had a bit of a poker face on her, and she was just like, "Right, okay, cool. Do some poses, etc. Just adjust my posing." And then she goes, "Right, let's get a second pair of eyes." She went, and we got Guy. And bear in mind, guys, if you don't know Guy, he can literally just look straight through you, right? But not intentively. So Guy just came in, he just looked in the room, looked at me up and down. There's a slight smirk happen, like, then he stopped it, he had to refrain himself. Then he went back. And he says, "Right, okay, cool, just have X amount of couple more grams of potatoes or whatever before you go to bed." So show morning. Anyways, I remember I then had to go back to Tesco's, get more food, cook it before this. Anyways, that was really long. So I ended up going to bed like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up. And I don't know if it's this how I should look because I've never been in this condition and I've never felt like this before. So she went through the shows, etc. Registered backstage, chatting to the lads. I think it was your brother and Jake Steele was giving Ryan the Rat an absolute pounding, just eating Snicker bar. Literally, what he was doing backstage was just unbelievable. But he was a good laugh though. So I was just literally chilling, get ready to go on stage, and I didn't have pumping up still with my clothes on. So I thought, right, okay, cool, got a bit of a pump on. Let me take my clothes off. And I can remember when I started pumping up that all of a sudden the room got really quiet. And I was still pumping it away. I didn't really notice it until everyone has literally stopped and looked at me. And I was thinking, right, should I be running out now to compete? But anyway, nothing was set. And the heavyweights was just behind us, and they were at the door waiting to queue up as well. So they were all chatting in the hallway. And again, when they came and they saw, it got really quiet again. And I was just like, right, okay, what's going on here? So I'm pumping up. I didn't even know what I looked like because I didn't even look at a mirror. I was just doing what I was doing. Literally, they called us all up, went on stage, and you know, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't even know if it was for me at the time. But when I stepped out on stage and we're just going to the front relaxed position, literally everyone was just like, you can just hear people like whispering, like, wow. But I don't know what it was. And yeah, that's a bit of a long question. But when I stepped on stage, the messages I had after coming off a stage from people, and there's a lot of cool guys I met as well, like Dan Sutcliffe. I mean, there's so many names I can't remember, but you know, a lot of people looked at me straight away and said, "Mate, you've got this car, you've got this class." And I said, "Oh, come on, stop messing around. You guys are messing. You guys are messing." And then Nate saw me as well because he judged the previous year, 2017, and he saw me then, and he was like, "You good?" I was like, "No, Nate, don't try it, man," because that's what you said to me 2017, and I came sixth, and then we just started laughing. But you know, I was just playing it cool. I was playing it humble. I'm not the judges. I don't know what the judges are thinking. I think the first call out was Tom and I. We had to step at the back, and then the judge the rest of the class. It's all what I've heard afterwards. But yeah, that. Right, I had no idea what just happened there.
It just froze, mate. Don't worry about it. You're back. You and Tom have been sort of gone through your
Oh, right. Yeah.
When you've been put to the stage.
Yeah, so obviously we did the pre-judging, came off stage. Everyone was just kind of like, wow, like, completely different physique, like what's going on. But I think obviously the answer to the question is the difference between it was having the right guidance. And I think I was very open to learning more. And you have to respect people who has been in the industry for a long time. And when you find out who works with food, you then kind of understand the athlete look like that because they've been guided in the right way. And I was very open to that after the qualifier, Southern qualifier in July that year. And obviously because I've listened and took advice, obviously led me to have my physique, fortunately, to be one of the standouts that day, which was quite good to hear. But at the time when you're in prep, you don't think that you're good enough. You don't think that you're looking fantastic. You don't think that you're going to win. You don't think anything, because it is quite draining getting into that condition. But no, it was.
That's just classic prep brain, though, isn't it? You get that. I think I get that all the way through a prep, and it's only like until recently I look back at what at the start of the year, even just now, and then you go, oh, actually, there's been some progress made there. And when you can see, if you can see and accept it for yourself, and that's good. But I mean, when you're in the depths of you need someone. I take my hat off to anyone who can prep themselves from start to finish, Tom, and get into that kind of hard granite condition.
But that's one of the things I was gonna kind of touch on, is like what you were saying, Opio, about those last 3 weeks where you had to back off cardio and you had to sort of taper up your carbs and things. And it's kind of like, even if you've not got a coach, you need someone to give you a critical eye and sort of some feedback, because sometimes it's illogical in your prep brain, isn't it? You think, I can't, because it gets to that point of diminishing returns, doesn't it? You're just pounding the cardio, you're ready, but you then go in beyond that point and you start to potentially look worse. And you kind of know that, but you sometimes need someone to tell you, don't you?
And it's all is that I used to think, because I'm very much into the old school bodybuilding sort of, I'm not into the new school stuff. And, when you listen to them, it's always like, you need to do more to get more. And then again, as you said, through if I did more, I would have been losing, because I was quite light on stage as well. I would be losing so much tissue and I just wouldn't look as good. But again, fortunately, I had the eyes of Vic, and I just basically trusted what she said. And it was more food, so I wasn't really complaining. But it was a question of, how the hell can you eat 525 to 550 grams carbs a day leading up to a show? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, I just wanted the trust. I just wanted the accountability to go towards someone else. And again, in a time where I was going for a job promotion, etc., and still studying, it just made sense. Which I'm glad. Obviously, I have listen to Vic. But yeah, as you said, to increase your food 3 weeks out and to back off everything seemed mad to most people.
Yeah. But the thing as well is that's amazing is you were obviously, at your previous shows, you were a big guy, you were big, thickly muscled, but I don't think anyone sort of thought you were going to be that much better. Like, it was unbelievable. You were like granite, but full, like your shape, that kind of taper. And I suppose that's the eye of someone as experienced as, the likes of Vicky and Guy, to kind of see that potential and guide you. And it's, I think what I've found with you, I mean, just my kind of perception was that you were always very, well, you still are very humble, and you didn't kind of think too much of yourself. I don't think you expected to do that well at the finals. You didn't know how good you were, but it seemed like you gained a bit more confidence in those weeks leading up to Worlds, and I think probably got better because of that, and you looked a lot more confident on stage. And would you agree with that?
I would say, don't get me wrong, I'm always it is a competitive sport, and for me, if I compete because one, I like it, and then two, to win. So the reason why I'm so reserved, because I did underestimate the 2017 British finals, and that taught me a big lesson. Going in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna win and this, that, just. So that taught me a big lesson from experience. And I don't know if you guys knew, all of last year, I would just put on my Facebook stories and stuff, Instagram stories, like, don't underestimate your competition. Just respect everyone. Do what you need to do, because if you get the result that you don't want to, it's a horrible feeling. You can't blame anyone. You can't blame your coach. You can't blame anyone apart from yourself. Okay, but if you know that you've given everything that you could, you respect the other athletes and your coaches and everyone around it. There's no better feeling if you come first. A lot, obviously, to win would be good, but if you come first, so it's not so much of a mental beat up, is what my personal take is. But I think that I was quite reserved, and right, going back to the finals, to the Worlds. The reason why the confidence build up a bit more is because, believe it or not, I still waited for feedback on the after the British finals in 2018. I still stayed back and get the final. And there was Adrian, which we're actually really quite close now. Adrian, he said, no, he just had more size than you, and I, you know, I was happy with that. I was kind of happy to get my life back and happy to just sort of crack on with eating, to be honest. And then Vic said to me, so what your plans are? I said, I'll have to think about it with the ladies. So see what they say, because obviously it's quite I've had 35 week prep and it's been tough, etc. Vic was like, agreeing with it. Then a couple of the judges says to me, if you go to the DFAC Worlds, more than likely that you will get the overall at the amateur. And I was just like, yeah, but you guys really telling me that? So or is it really? So got home next day. I had some banana and I think it was chocolate banana peanut butter cake, banana cakes, cupcakes I had pre-ordered, collected them on the day. Literally sat down, had one. Was about to have the second one, put it down. I had my phone on, I put it down, I was reading it. And then Mr. says to me, are you all right? I said, yeah. She's like, you're not going to eat it? I said, I'm not going to eat it. She goes, why? I goes, because Vic just emailed me. She just said, right, here is your thing going for the Worlds. So I was kind of like roped into it. And then that just gives me that was another sign where Vic believed in me. That would go all the way. Another sign was I was speaking to my mum. My mum said, are you going to go to America? And I said, do you know what? I don't know, so much money. I'm running the household at the moment. It's quite expensive, and to get money to. And she said to me, don't even think financially, because this is what you want to do, I will pay for your ticket. And this is how crazy it worked. My auntie lives in Florida, which is 40 minutes away from the venue. So to me, that was all signs. I had no reason not to just get a return ticket. Didn't have to pay for stay, didn't have to pay for anything. My auntie was just kept spoiling us with all this food and stuff, but I couldn't eat. But we went to Costco's and she just gave me all these potatoes and stuff. But that was too much. That was too much signs. You then realize a lot of people have confidence in you. A lot of people believe in you, and then although you believe in yourself as an individual, sometimes you need to, not in a cocky way, then believe in yourself and give everything that you have. But I will never forget at the Worlds in Miami, after I got the overall amateur, you literally came up to me and you shook my hand and you said honor level, it's well deserved. He goes, I'm not gonna sit here and say, you could have. It's just like, mate, what you've done for your season, how you've led up to it, how you've transformed, how you've kept being so humble, all the sacrifice that you've made, and how your physique look. He's just like, it kind of seemed like you were not happy, but you were kind of, it's just kind of like you can't take that away from you. I can remember that very clearly. Just you said you deserve it. Just no one can say anything because I've seen your season, I've seen what you've gone through, and hats off.
No, absolutely.
And that's I don't like the bodybuilding.
I mean, you know, no one in the world could argue with that. I think, you know, you were head and shoulders above everyone that day. I think I've got no issues in saying that. But it was good from just the perspective of a fan of bodybuilding, and a good message to everyone looking to compete is that it doesn't really matter. You know, if you've not hit your peak at the finals, at the qualifier, there's a long time until the finals, and it can change. And it was that season as well. There was yourself, and another one that stands out for me is Dan Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Because I believe, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he got 5th in his you know, at the qualifier in his class, and then he went on to the finals. He was absolutely just night and day different, and then obviously went on to Worlds as well. And I don't know, people seeing that,
didn't he? Really, you know, he did really well to hold up in that category for such a young lad as well.
Yeah,
quite new to it.
Yeah, and I mean it was his first season as well, wasn't it? Yeah, another just great guy.
Yeah, I know. Dan was one of the guys who, you know, we speak quite regular on Instagram, and again, he was one of the guys who preferred my physiques compared to quite a lot of the athletes out there. But again, I like that part of the sport where you get to meet people. People are honest, and you know, it's just good. So it takes away the competitiveness straight away, and it's kind of like, okay, if you win, you win. If you come second, you come second. But it's just the mutual respect amongst each other. And I urge any amateur who's about to compete for the first time, go out and speak to the guys, because the guys are just as scared as you, and you know, just make them feel a lot more comfortable just, you know, having a chat and meeting new people.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And some of what you're saying there kind of resonates with me, going back to, again, I mean, worry about you, but it just reminded me of my 2018 season. Obviously, going back up through the years, I've always tried my hardest, but there was something wasn't not quite right. I was getting into good condition, but not enough to do any damage anywhere. You know, and then from not placing to placing third, and then second at the Midlands in 2018, and then went into the Northern just because it was my local show, and I've always done that. You know, I've done the Midlands, done the Northern, always done it. And I remember being backstage, and I'm looking around, and all the guys are talking. They're all going, "Yeah, I'm a lightweight. I'm a lightweight. I'm a lightweight." You know, and I'm looking at these guys and going, "These have got about 5 or 6 kilos worth."
Oh my god! Yeah. Wow.
You know, because I was really light, 65, something like that kilos. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm losing confidence. Because I'm thinking these guys are massive, and if they're in condition, and even backstage, you know, it's playing with my mind a little bit. And then
it's most of us, definitely.
I went out on stage, just done my best, and then I came off. I remember coming off really despondent, thinking, no, I think I've not done well there at all. But obviously, I can't see what the judges can see.
Absolutely,
you can't see what your other competitors are doing posing wise. So you've only got, you know, how you're feeling within yourself, haven't you? And that's why I think it mirrors your feelings there. You know, at British finals and Worlds and stuff. And then I came off, and the first person I spoke to was James Melville, who I came second to in the Midlands a couple of weeks prior, and he just said to me, "It's lights out, mate." And I was like, what do you mean?" I was like, my mind wasn't comprehending what this means. And I said, and he goes, "It's lights out," and I was like, I went into the second half with bags more confidence, but still not actually ready to believe it, because obviously James is a guy whose opinion and I would rely on quite heavily. You know, he's a coach, and he's as well as a really good competitor. But you just don't know what the judges have seen. And then when they when they called my name out as winner that day, I was blown away. You know, and that's just another thing ticked off the you know, the ambition book. You know, and then I came 5th at finals in the lightweight category that year. So I've still got stuff to do, which, like you say, get an invite to Worlds, and I don't think people realise just they want it, but I don't know how much how it, not important, because it's important to you as an individual, I think. As a competitor, you know, you always want to be able to do better, and I think the only way you can measure how well you're actually doing is whether or not you are qualifying for British finals, whether you're placing within the top 5 or the top 3, and whether you're getting the invites to Worlds and stuff like that, you know. And it's you know, coming out of a show can be really disappointing for a lot of people. But it's hard for them to remember that you're only in that line up against who you're in, and you can't control that. You can only bring your best.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's like what you were talking about there about the kind of importance of it. It's kind of like what I said before about it's not necessarily about the placing to get there, but the actual perception from judges that you look up to and respect. You know, obviously heavily respect the opinion of, who have deemed you to be like worthy of getting a place at Worlds or at finals. I remember, like, I'm such a bodybuilding geek. I remember being at the hotel, and you're surrounded by people like, you know, Dave Kay, Mark Claxton, Rob Waterhouse, and you're thinking like, I'm competing here in Miami with, like,
you're
amongst all,
and
it was like it was like a big kind of like bodybuilding superstar event. It's amazing, and I think, Chris, I think there's a lot to be said for the confidence you build over the years in terms of getting better, because I think over the course of sort of like 2017, 2018, and then obviously 2019 when we weren't competing, had kind of immersed ourselves a bit more in the kind of community of natural bodybuilding, going to all the shows and meeting people, and you kind of just build a bit of a confidence of like, I kind of belong here. I know the environment. I feel a lot more comfortable, and ultimately, I think you present yourself better on stage because of that, and just approach it with a bit more confidence, I think.
So I mean, like, obviously coming away from the World Finals, how did you what did you do then moving forward from there, with regards sort of stepping into your off season? Because from my point of view, I've had probably the best off season I could have probably had, just sticking with Rob and having the guidance from him. What did you do going forward?
Firstly, give time back to the girls. So we've had a few sort of weekends away booked around Christmas and stuff. So definitely was looking forward to that. And I had a week off. Actually, I had about 2 weeks off training where I just kind of wanted to feel normal again. But sort of mid to end of December, I pretty much had a structure anyway. And what I've learned as well is not to get too fat in your off season. Was one of the most important things what I've learned. So again, it's just still managing your appetite with not getting fat is so hard. So I listen to people say about reverse dieting and stuff, and I'm just like, that will never work for someone who's prepped for 30, 35, 40 to then reverse. Again, don't get me wrong, there are people out there who are more than willing to do that, but the appetite afterwards is just crazy. So I allowed myself not to get too fat, pretty much. Kind of kept my weight where I needed it to be. Even after the show, Vic said, like, you know, you don't need to go past 90 kilos, which was a struggle because I kept 91 kilos for about 7-8 months. 6 months after the show, and then got up to like sort of 93. So last year I kept it around 93 kilos. So that's pretty much what I did. I'm not to get too fat, keep an eye on my body fat percentage. Still train as hard as I can, because after that I got a nasty shoulder injury a few weeks after the Worlds, which I'm still injured now. So that's sort of limited the exercises I can do. So I just went back to training 3 times a week, do what I can. I stopped the deadlifts. I was progressing in deadlifts as well. But just kind of be a lot more diet focused rather than letting myself go too much in the off season. And from then I'm still pretty much in good structure compared to with the weight I am now. So although I'm injured, it is it is the best sort of mid to higher end 90 kilos stuff ever looked. So quite a lot of separations of my legs. So quite a relatively small waist. Still all right. Shoulders, not being able to train them as well. I'm just happy to stick with that, knowing that there's no point me trying to put weight on, because again, I'm not going to be able to expend it out with the lifting heavy and progressing in the lifts as well. So a bit more structure, and not to get too fat.
I remember it wasn't too far after finishing the season, you were pulling 260.
Oh yeah.
I remember Alex Mackay was. I think I met up with him like shortly. He was like, "Have you seen Opio where he's deadlifting 260 for reps?"
Yeah, no, I was so motivated, and I was so hyped as well, because obviously now I've transitioned from the amateur days, which I think, and that's last week I had interviewed Gene just to have listened to the amateurs, because I think that the amateurs are unfortunately not being heard as much on the social media, but it's so exciting. Traveling all the way through amateur, going into pro as well. And if you listen to some of the pros, Mark said that he got into the pro league a bit too early and would like to stay in the amateur a bit longer as well. Even like Dave said, it's quite short, but again, he really enjoyed the amateur, because again, I think this is what the amateur level is, where effectively you need to know who's good, who trains hard, and that's so much motivation for you to go and train a lot harder as well in the gym. But I forgot now. I just digressed. So I can remember I was so amped and so motivated to pretty much be the best me I can be. And I remember seeing Dave K's deadlift videos, and literally I did not even know it was possible that someone can do 220 for 17, 18 reps. I looked at that and I thought, he's a pro and he's doing that. I need to be doing that. And that was my thought process. And another one as well, like Nate lifts very heavy, but he puts out not his best on social media, which is quite dangerous, because you think, oh yeah, he's doing that. But bear in mind, he's bloody strong and he trains bloody hard. And what stuck to me at the Wells in Miami, after I turned pro, got the guy came to me, shook my hand, he said, "Well done, I'm so happy for you." And then he looked over to Dave and goes, "Dave, guess what?" Dave said, "Yeah." He goes, "No, he's in a pro league. No, he's effed." And he laughed and literally just walked away. So I was just looking at the back of Guy's head, thinking, wow, okay. Well, I really need to ramp it up. But seriously, that stuck with me throughout. So, it's a bit of obviously he wasn't meaning it. Or was he meaning it? But I just needed to train hard, not to get too fat. And I was just so pumped. I really wanted to progress my lifts. And seeing, again, like Dave, those guys lifting 220 for reps, 260s for reps, like it's normal. And then you get injured, not from the deadlift, but again, the injury just got worse over time. And then you've seen like Chris McCready's like deadlifting 250 for reps.
I'm not quite sure Chris McCready's a human being.
I don't actually really know what goes on, but
even at his age, I don't think I could have lifted. I definitely couldn't have lifted what he's ever. Crazy.
Just on that, the point about your kind of transition into the off season and wanting to maintain a little bit of a leaner body composition, I thought it'd be a good time. There was a question that came in from Dan North.
Yeah.
And I'll just read it out for exactly what he said. So He said you spent a prolonged period of time being fatter. His words, not mine. I don't know the duration, but even in your initial years of competition, you only scratched the surface in terms of potential of your physique. After winning your pro card, from conversations that you had, he says he knows that you wanted to stay leaner and slightly a bit closer to stage weight than previously. He says why, from a personal perspective, and he says just because from the outside looking in, he would argue that the level of muscularity and physique that you've built would have been built on the building blocks of being a bigger / fatter guy. So I think basically what he's getting at is that the early days of progress was built on you being a bigger person and being able to push those bigger weights and things.
I 100% agree, because I was speaking to one of my friends about it, and I've fortunately fitted into the category of high calories and heavy lifting when I was my early 20s. So when I was early 20s, I was bench pressing 180 kilos. I was squatting 220 without knee wraps. Deadlifts with 265 for reps. But my food was rubbish, but I was always eating a lot of food. So that helped hand in hand. And I was training 4 or 5 times a week. So obviously, when I decided to compete and pulled it off, again, in a fluke, there's no way I thought, okay, I'm going to eat heavy. I just ate because I was hungry. I just lifted heavy because I wanted to lift heavy and just wanted to be as strong as I can. Answer to Dan's question, 100% it's been built up from then. So now I'm 30. It's going to be very, very limited or next to nothing on gain that I can get, because I've done that in my early 20s. So now it's starting to slow down. I know how it's starting to slow down because my recovery is not as good as it was. I used to think of some of the training that I used to do, and to even think about it now would just be awful. So I think, yes, I definitely did that in the earlier years, but I wouldn't do it now because it's not going to benefit me. So I think now if I just keep my calories about slightly above, that's all I need to do, because now I'm conscious where if I'm eating too much food, I lose gut control, and I can see that. So I don't want to lose gut control, as in not looking as lean at the front. That means I'm eating too much, or I'm not expending too much as well. So my calories are quite high anyway. So I lose weight on 3,600 calories now with just go for steps, which is quite good. So I've really shot up my metabolic rate. So I'm happy with that. So long as I'm not too fat, there's no point for me personally, because I think for me to build now, when I'm slowing down, it's not going to be wise.
Yeah,
it's a prep.
I feel that at 40 years old.
I think as well. It makes sense, and it was kind of similar to what Sean Wolf was saying when we spoke to him. Is that yes, you build that foundation on the big compound lifts, and yes, there is a period where you have to push those weights, but for longevity, you kind of need to realize that you can't do that forever. And once you've built that foundation, you can. The phrase he said was, yes, go as heavy as you can, but respect the weight. And I think it's about maintaining that form, and and I don't think we can all be doing what Chris McCready's. Well, I don't think we'll ever be doing what Chris McCready's doing, but
it's as I said to all my guys as well, all my clients. I said, like, look, so the younger ones, I said, you guys are right now are immortal. This is your time to get good food in, nutrition, depth food, and train, progress on your compounds. So long as we execute from A to B safely, you got no problem at all. I would have told my younger self back then, better form, better technique, actually have a structure, not just eat 5,000-6,000 calories a day and just pick up weights and think that you're the man. So again, mine just come from experience, but now it takes me a week to recover legs easily. So my CNS is not, sorry, it's my CNS is not as good as it was. So that's why, again, bro splits work for me, because I can train legs once a week, it's perfect timing. Back once a week is perfect timing. Do a little bit of press and stretch, that's perfect timing. Because if I try to do that like every other day, every 2 days, I wouldn't be able to progress and perform. So that's just my personal take on it. And I don't need to keep stuffing my face with food while I'm injured. I'm not going to perform as good, and just to get fat and then think, okay, did I put lean muscle on or not? It's just slightly above maintenance, and that'll be enough for me.
Yeah, cool.
I agree with a lot of that. You know, I mean, it's interesting. We say it a lot, but a lot of all the pros that you generally speak to all tend to adopt the bro split rather than a push-pull legs. That's not to say that doesn't work, because obviously there are some good bodybuilders out there who do utilize it, obviously, but a lot of the people we've spoken to, BNBF, WNBF pros and things like that, they all use that tend to use a bro split.
I just can't recover quick enough. I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things that we've spoken about it before, haven't we? It's people put a lot into the actual specifics of push-pull legs versus bro split, and miss kind of the fundamentals that the actual principles of progressive overload and actually intensity and things. And it's not so much about the actual split itself, is it? It's actually what you do within it.
Yeah.
And I think you do what suits you, and like you say, Opio, is you find that you can hit things a bit more with more specificity and recover better doing that. And I guess a lot of people do different things at different times as well, don't they? You know, they might go through a period of, for example, an upper lower split, and then change. And I personally, I agree. I favour the bro split. I just find that I can hit things with more specificity, and same reason as you, Opio, is recover a little bit better by the time it's the next session.
Because
I think you have to hold back, don't you? If you're going to be hitting, for example, legs twice a week, you have to hold back if you're going to do that. Whereas if you're doing it once a week, I think you can go. Yeah, you can.
Again, due to my recovery, it makes absolute sense, because I couldn't think of nothing worse than barbell back squatting, progressing those lifts. So you didn't know what you did on the Monday, and then, for example, when I used to train, because I was training legs twice a week for 5 months last year, because my shoulders was really bad, so I still needed to get expenditure. So I was kind of training legs twice a week. So I would do hack squat and leg press. And then later on in the week, I will do a safety bar squat and depending on how my shoulders felt, I would do, but I would try to do those too. And to progress on them, not happen, just don't recover fast enough. Whereas when now at the moment, since the quarantine started, I've been progressing my squat 5 kilos top set every week. So, but again, by the time it comes around to it, I'm recovered and fresh and ready to go. So, everyone's individual, everyone's different. But for me, it just couldn't work. The push-pull or upper or lower body split, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I'd argue as well that the most fundamentally important thing is are you enjoying it? Because that's what I enjoy, is doing a bro split, and maybe I'm just a creature of habit and I've always done it that way, but that is what I enjoy. That's what I think of as bodybuilding training, and I've always preferred that way of doing things, and at the end of the day we do that's why we train, isn't it? For enjoyment.
And you're a top end athlete in the sport at the level, so can you argue that? As you said, whatever works for you.
What's your favorite body part to train, like upper, your chest, back, legs, whatever?
In a weird way, it's in stages. Does that make sense? So, for example, 20 17 off season was I needed to get my shoulders up to have my small waist, and I really love training shoulders, really heavy. And then I looked at my legs. I thought I need to keep up with my legs. Then really enjoy training legs, and it's different stages of training legs. And then all of last year was like, right, if I'm going to compete with effectively the best of the best in the pro ranks, I need to get my hamstrings up. So again, I really enjoy training hamstrings. So it just moves in different stages. But overall, which has taken dominance for the last few years, have been legs, because with a decent pair of legs, instantly your judge is going to be looking at you, and it's just up to you to balance up your body. But I would probably say the leg stakes. I hate it when I'm going to training because I get anxiety and butterflies, but it is the legs that is the foundation which helps me to grow. If I can progress in legs, everything else will then naturally grow, because the most released.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing, or something similar. I think it peaks and troughs, like sort of back was always a favourite of mine, but that's because I think that was one of my stronger body parts, and it's the one that progressed the easiest. But yeah. I just like pulling exercises, you know, and I use deadlifts for back day and all that, and rows and every kind of row you can think of.
The back's exciting. Back's good. Back's a fun day.
But then, I used to hate legs because I just didn't enjoy it. But then for some reason now, since quarantine, I've really started to enjoy it.
Yeah, I see. You guys are crazy.
Training at home is just it's
different. It's different. Completely different.
Yeah, you can't. You know, I mean, it depends on how much kit you've got. Will depend on how much you can replicate training in a gym. And I've been fortunate enough to get hands on a reasonable amount of kit, which has enabled me to train and keep up.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know why, but legs just seems to be one that I really enjoy at the moment. Maybe it's because they're not injured. Particularly at the moment, it's my arms that I'm struggling with a little bit. But yeah, it comes in waves depending on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was same here.
I think it's I don't know if you'd agree. Like, it's given me again. I feel quite fortunate that I've got enough to barbell, enough weight, squat, stands, bench, and some dumbbells. But it gives you an appreciation of just the compound lifts and just how much you can do with a barbell and weight and I've definitely found that I don't know, I think I've actually made a lot more progress with a lot of my back, particularly back, like rowing movements, and just because there's nothing, there's no machines that you can defer to, and so it just gives you that appreciation of just doing the basics, and how effective they are.
No, absolutely, I agree. It's even so much harder because from a compound, because I can't deadlift at the moment. So what I'm doing is progressing on barbell rows and getting up to the sets of 150s for 10s, just all 5x5. So it's still pretty good weight, but you can't knock someone who does the old school free barbell. It's horrendous, but the benefits top notch.
Yeah. So guys, I think we're coming up to about an hour and 20, I think, on there. So
wow,
we could go on for ages.
Yeah,
it's been a good chat. It's been like a good informal chat, but just we had another question which leads on to just sort of some of your future plans, Opio, and so I'll just read out. We had a question from Nicole Weeks-Boyers, figure DFAC champion. So she says, who is your greatest inspiration that you now get to stand next to on stage as a pro?
I posted something in 2017, and then I posted in 2018. There was at Haymarket, there was a qualifier there when my brother competed, but I wasn't competed. I went to watch, and I took a picture of this. It's on Instagram. There's a picture of me, Dave, and Nate, and I said, if I can, like, part of my dream would be to compete with those guys on stage. Not because I just the reason for it is I looked at these guys walking. You see them walking down the street, and you would think they're big. These are big guys. Naturally, these are lumps. So if I can get to that level, that would then be a reflection of my hard work actually materializing into being with one of the best. And if I can stand with them on stage, that would be, for me, that was my dream. I said that 3 years ago, and then again I have the opportunity to do it, obviously, because I know Dave's talking about he's not sure how long he's going to compete for. Nate's pretty much tied up with his sponsors and stuff, so I don't know if he's got any plans of competing. But answer to the call would be Dave and Nate. And again, we speak all the time on IG, and again, Dave catches up with me once in a while to find out how my shoulder is going as well. So that's the side Dave I really like as well. But again, he's a true gentleman, and to stand on stage with him, and obviously Nath is you can't like him or not, he's one of the best in the world. And to stand with those two would be good. So yeah, those are my two guys on my on the list I would like to stand next to.
Awesome.
I remember Nate did a thing on Instagram. It must be going back last year at some point, maybe even longer than that. You know, I asked a question. I asked him, does he plan to compete again? Now, it wasn't very specific, but the answer was yes. So I guess that's a watch this space, because whenever he does come back, you know that it's not going to be the same animal.
It's going to be nonsense. I knew that he kind of confirmed it when he was one of the, in my head, I think, right, you know, he's definitely one of the best. He went on the scales and he was 96 kilos, and I'm looking at him and he was pretty lean but balanced. So, and he's not that, I think we're around about the same height. So to have that much muscle with that leanness, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what as well? Like we always talk about it, but to be that good and be that humble is kind of unbelievable. Me and Chris saw him, you know, backstage, didn't we, at his guest spot, and he was genuinely, you know, thought he wasn't in shape, and
he has time for us. I know
it was he just, what, you know, and just like such a good representative for the sport as well. But what about obviously you are a DFAC pro, and you know there are a lot of other federations, you know, within natural bodybuilding, and there's a hell of a, you know, just an absolute massive pool of amazing athletes across the world. Obviously, you know, it's the age-old debate that we've talked a lot about, the idea of like a super show type thing, which be absolutely amazing. But is there anyone, you know, not you know, not maybe specific, maybe a few sort of people that you look at in other federations that you would like to compete against if the, you know, if that opportunity presented itself of sort of like a super show?
Yeah, no, well, the super show, if that comes around, I don't think that I can miss it. Doesn't make sense. I would have to do it. That would then go down not just only on, you know, competition experience, but effectively history, because it will be history unless you do the Natural Olympia. But there are a few guys I look at, but I don't know how their drug testing criteria would be different to us, because some federations are different. And some of the guys I'm looking at, I'm like, would you really pass the ones that we use at the? Because I know it's so strict, especially with the lie detectors as well. But everyone's talking about the Babica. I didn't really know who he was until I've had like some IG send some stories. I'm looking at him, and I was looking at this guy, and I was thinking, do you know what that is? You're gonna have to compete with the best, but you know, someone would be to compete against him, not just to try and take him on. But again, it's all just to have the experience and then know that you've actually you've competed in history with the best lineup, and you know that's what it was like in the Olympia to be the best lineup from from the mid 90s, so perhaps about the earliest 2000, especially the Jay and Ronnie trying to compete against each other, and the other guys were so good. but because of these two guys had the lead on, it just made it look not good. And if you take the people who finished third, fourth, fifth, and you put them in today's Olympia, they would be winning hands down. They would definitely 100% they'd be winning. So yeah, Babacar's won. Awesome, crazy. That's who really, because I look at some of the guys and I think, you know what, just a bit of time and I can be up there. So it's not anyone who I look that's scarily kind of pushing me away. But again, I'm like I say, I'm still quite young, 30, still got a bit of more maturity to get through in the muscle, which will help change my physique. But he's won. Also as well, like Shane, everyone talks about if Shane comes in condition, etc. But he has got so much density.
Yeah.
And if he comes in, I think instantly people will just be like, wow, he might have the impression how I came out in 2018. But I know Shane, he's very dense. He's thick from head to toe. So he's one. Definitely like to compete against Shane as well. And also Mark Claxton is obviously just me being a bit biased to the DFAC. But again, I looked at Max Claxton conditioning and his strength 10 days out of a show. You look at it and you think, that's inhuman. That's crazy. And obviously those are the guys who I follow on the social media, more so I know about them. But the others, to my knowledge, it would just be Babacar and obviously Nate, Dave, Shane in there as well. And you've also got Rob. I think Rob's really good just because he has body parts that pops out that not everyone can get it. So it's a bit genetic, which just makes him just looks like muscle on muscle on muscle on muscle. And he's effectively a lightweight pro, isn't he?
Yeah.
And really good. So those guys. But yeah.
No, it'd be a story about when he went to train with Mark Claxton one day. Get him to tell you about it. It'll have you in stitches.
I'll ask him.
But yeah, no, I suppose, and I don't want to get into the thing of people, you know, yes, we compete with BNBF, you're a DFAC Pro. It's not a sort of a biased thing, but the kind of setup of the DFAC World Finals is that any pro can come over, can't they, to compete there? So that is a good thing to leave the door open that you know we can get a bit of a super show if you know it's a very welcoming environment, isn't it, where people can come over and they, you know, it doesn't stop them from competing elsewhere. But you know, I suppose pro bodybuilding, you know, it is pro bodybuilding, but it's not pro in the sense of we don't get a wage, you know, you don't get a wage from it and things like that. So I understand that people have other commitments and they can't commit to maybe 2 shows in different locations over the year. But I suppose it's just good to remind people that is open for them, and it's that's especially with the likes of you know the pool of competitors that are already competing within the DFAC. It make for some very interesting battles. Certainly.
No, I think, and as what Dave and Rob was talking about, that they believe, I think it was Dave and Rob on their live, saying about that that the European natural bodybuilders are getting ahead. And quite interestingly enough, I try to look at the BNBF. I look at them and I think, yeah, they're very. Don't get me wrong, they're very good. But when you look at some of the Italian Cup, and you just look at it and you think, they're good. They're just as clued up. They're just as dry. They're just as lean. They're just as full. They're just as consistent. And obviously we've got top players over here in the UK as well. So that's why I tend to kind of stick with who I believe and who I know who's genuine and passionate about the sport to be in that sort of league, because then that would then automatically put me, in my opinion, the best for the best, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, how are we fixing time, guys? All right.
Yeah. Just before we finish, I've just got a few. They're not. When I put the question thing up, Mark Claxton threw in a few comedy ones, so I'll just read them out. Just so he said, "Opio, now that you're a pro, will you make use of minions to fetch dumbbells and load weights between sets?"
No. To be fair, I'm still It's weird because although I've got the status, I'm still very much me, and I still very much respect anyone the same. So no, minions to catch dumbbells. Nah.
He then also said, how will you overcome Davey Hanna's mind games to emerge victorious?
Probably get some decent headphones, to be fair. So when he's trying to put me down, I'll just be nodding but listening to some music just to block him out. Dave's good. He's funny, to be fair.
And then his last one, he said, ever wonder why there are tie wraps and duct tape in Davy J's drug testing bag?
I've never even noticed. This is all knowledge to me. No, he said that. Why is that? I don't know. I must ask him directly.
So we have our normal features like Bodybuilding Room 101. You've seen it. I think you know what it's about. So if there's there's anything then about bodybuilding that you would like to, what would you put into Bodybuilding Room 101 if you had to?
Okay, so I have to be very specific on how I answer this. So you take away. So you take away the fitness from the bodybuilding. Okay, so we're talking about the bodybuilding side of things. What I don't really like is people who are just doing it for the money. So what I mean, so coaches would do one show, right, and then all of a sudden they're an online coach for prep bodybuilding. They don't understand anything about it. They don't have any experience. And the reason why I'm saying this is because last year I've had a few DMs from competitors who've been working with new coaches. When I check the profile, it's like, oh bro, how do you think I'm looking? Should I be looking like this? What's your views? And my honest answer every single time was, sorry, you need to speak to your coach. And because they're just using it for money, they don't actually really care about the competitors. And if you're going to be doing the bodybuilding side of the online coaching, so you need to be passionate, you need to have an understanding, and rightfully what you guys said, what you boys said earlier, where you go into more shows and understanding, you get a bit more confidence. Most of them probably haven't watched the show before, to then call themselves online coaches for bodybuilding. So yeah, it's just the ones who they're not passionate about it. They just want to take a client's money. They don't have experience about it, and all of a sudden they're online coach for competition prep. Because even beforehand, I was prepping myself years ago, and I've prepped my brother and the local guys around here as well, who's done relatively decent. So mine just come from a bit of experience, and obviously the longer you do it, the more you learn and the more you evolve in the sport as well. So yeah, it's just that I can't stand I've done one show, I'm an online coach, I'll take your money, I'll prep you for a show, and it's one, it can be dangerous for a client, and then two, it's not giving the client the best opportunity to present themselves what they can do as well. So there's loads, but that's the one that I'm just a bit passionate about the sport and just passionate about people doing the best.
Yeah.
I
think more often than not as well, they're not actually giving them tailored plans either to that individual. Just, for a better phrase, it's just a cookie cutter.
Copy and paste.
Take your carbs out.
To the masses. Yeah, I don't.
Throw in a load of greens and eat that, and you'll get lean. No.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. I despise that. And what I would say is that if you're thinking of competing and you want to compete, speak to 5 different coaches. Online is very easy to speak to people now on social media, so we're fortunate to have that. Drop messages, drop emails, arrange Skype calls, etc., or even narrow it down to 2 or 3 who you think will be who potentially like to work with. Get a feel for them, have a look at their credibility, and then go that way. That way is a lot safer. And then you kind of really filter out I'm an online coach in my status. I've got one transformation of themselves being prepped by a different coach, but they don't really have any experience. They don't really know as well. So, but I just think there's a lot of competitors out there who are unfortunately being misled and not working for passionate coach for bodybuilding, not for general health and fitness online coaching, for competing as well. So
nice one.
Good stuff. All right, guys. I think we're coming up to beyond an hour and a half. So it's been great sort of seeing everyone again, even if it's just through a screen and chatting. And hopefully we'll get these podcasts a little bit more regular again. big thanks to Chris Clark for
You're welcome, buddy.
For checking in, and also just for everything that you're doing to keep everyone in the loop about what's going on in the bodybuilding circles and content and things like that. So big thanks, and and any other final words, anyone?
Opio, obviously, yeah. Now's your chance. Have you got any space left for clients? Now's your time. Big yourself up. Go.
Yeah. So as you said at the start, I'm a personal trainer and online coaching for general weight loss. People just want a different lifestyle change, just help with a bit of nutrition and training as well. Also competitive. So again, if you're thinking of competing, you don't know where you are, I'm more than happy to have a chat, pass on my honest opinion, what if anything needs to be worked on, or if you're a bit unseasoned yet, so then go on stage. Just any sort of questions really, if anything about that, then yeah, just give me a shout. Based online, so my Instagram is I don't even know what my Instagram is. Just type in Opio in the search box, it will come up, Opio_DFAC Pro. Yeah, just drop me a message if you guys need any assistance, any questions, anything like that. So that's majority of the business I do, just help clients online. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it, and hope all you guys are doing well and keeping safe.
Great stuff. And just finally, make sure you check out Unrivalled Nutrition for all of your AGF and rapid recovery needs. Special mention for the custard cream AGF.
rapid recovery chocolate for me, Chocky biscuit. Every time. I'll train just to drink that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch up soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Nice one.